for not because of their technical background or without research skill sets or with respect to their experimentals or outcomes, they got stuck. They did not complete or they could not complete their
FDP on research paper writing and IP rights. I want to share one quote: "No research without action and no action without research." I am Purnima Kulkarni from Computer Engineering Department, AGPIT, Solapur. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest, Dr. M.M. Nadkarni sir, who has graciously accepted our invitation to join us today. Dr. M.M. Nadkarni sir is Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department at KLS Gopte Institute of Technology, Belagavi. He has pursued PhD in Mechanical Engineering from Ishveshwaraya Technological University, Belagavi, and completed 1-year postdoctoral fellowship in Division of Operations and Maintenance at Luleå Technological University, Luleå, Sweden. Sir has undergone a rigorous 1-year training in operation management concept under the supervision of internationally acclaimed flow management experts like Professor Joshi Shiba and Furiyashi San from Japan. Sir is involved in expert talks, consultancy, workshops in areas of condition monitoring, tribology, machine health monitoring, asset management, MATLAB applications for maintenance applications, etc. Even for many conferences, he has involved as a keynote speaker. Sir has 31 publications in journals. Recently, he has published collaborative research paper with Beijing, China in Journal of Construction and Building Materials. Even 19 conference presentations he have and attended seminars of national and international repute held at various places, both within and outside India. I am sure that this interaction with our guest will be valuable learning experience for all of us. With that, I will invite Dr. M.M. Nadkarni sir to start the session on technical writing skill sets for journal publication. Sir, I tried my level best to cover almost all your achievements you have done. Really, we are happy to have you with us. Over to you, sir. You can start the session.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to you all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Please. Great.
Yes, sir, yes, you are audible.
Thank you, thank you. At the outset, let me thank the organizing team from this institute, great institute, and then Dr. Amit Chate, who introduced me to your team, and head of the department, Computer Science, for inviting me to present my talk here today for this FDP today, FDP on research paper writing and IP rights, technical writing skill sets for journal publication. I'm very much thankful to you. Let's hope we will understand few points, 2 or 3 finer points about the importance of journal publication article, the way in which we need to organize our papers, and how to collaborative research. We will have to speak and we will have to discuss about deliberate for next an hour and a half or so. I have divided my session in 3 parts. Part 1, session 1, then session 2, session 3, so that there won't be any monotony, and we can also have some question answer sessions after each session, or at the end of 3rd session we can have, and also we can have about 5 minutes of bio break in between, so to break that monotony. Now we need to have a background of technical writing skill set for journal publication. Let me take your just a quick feedback, whether my screen is visible to you all.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay, so we need to have a small brief background why we need to understand what is needed for getting the journal's publication, and what right, what authority, or what background do I have to speak on this subject. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to inform you that I've been able to publish 31, the latest being 32 papers. Most of them, 25 plus papers, are with Chinese research organizations, and a few of them are from here. So it goes, and they're all in Q1, quartile 1, and higher impact factor journals, something 5, 6, 7. Now the question is like you all, some of you have already published good number of papers. The professors must have published, and they all may agree with one fine point that the points that I'm going to discuss now. Look, when we start our journey towards PhD, research PhD, we take that as the priority. Doing some research, going ahead with our literature review, then getting ahead with our compiling one, coming across with a fine problem which needs to be tuned, and finally we go ahead with our research, and then we reach a point where we reach our mid examinations or coursework examinations, then final pre-PhD colloquiums, and then seminar presentations, and finally the PhD thesis. But there are some regulations for presenting your colloquiums, present your final PhD thesis or your coursework examination, that you need to have some publications in your kitty or in your background. We need to have 1 or 2 international or national journal publications. And this is where we get stuck. Most of us, please believe me, most of us keep this writing or publishing a journal at the fag end. We want that. It is not the priority now. Let us go ahead with our research. Let us go ahead with our PhD. Let us go ahead with experimentation, documentation, so on and so forth. Finally, when I achieve something, when I come out with some results, then let me start thinking about publishing. Most of you may agree with this. I'm sorry, sir and gentlemen, to say this could be probably, I have seen many cases where the researchers are stuck for not because of their technical background or without research skill sets or with respect to their experimentals or outcomes. They got stuck. They did not complete or they could not complete their research, primarily because they didn't have even one single publication in their box or in their CV. They thought that they can complete the publication anytime once the research is over, once the experimentation is over, once the outcomes are received, then I can start writing the paper. By the time it will be already 2, 3 or 4 years over. See, research publication at good journal, in good journals or in good impact fact journals, will not happen that easily. They take about 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, sometimes a year plus. Please understand, some of my papers, even after 1 year, they get rejected also. And then again, you have to start afresh. You will have to resubmit it to some other journal and the process may begin. Most of the cases, we can assume suitably between 4 to 6 months. And these 4 to 6 months, just because you don't have a paper, just because you don't have a paper, you are unable to submit your thesis. If you have already 1 or 2 papers in your kitty or in your CV, so that you can already in your research portals, so you can always showcase you have got 1, 2 or preferably 3 publications arising out of the research that you have done, and they are already published. So you can go ahead with your thesis publication. Thesis will get accepted provided you have a quality publication. No matter what you do, unless you have a publication in your name under your supervisor or your team, no one may appreciate your good work that you might have put in for about 2, 3 or 4 years. In this regard, I stress this point to see that the way in which I started, my PhD was done in 2002 to 2007. Right from the day one, my target was publication. All along, I did my research. So you cannot say that, sir, there is no topic as such on which we can write the journal or we can write an article, and which journal, I don't know, need to submit, how to write the paper. We were not having the access to the information like what you people have. You have a wonderful FDP being planned by your institute here today, which is going to highlight these 2 important aspects of research. One is publication, research publication. Another is IP rights or going in for patenting later in due course of time. These 2 become the basis, the fundamentals for any researcher to progress. So with this background, I understand what they have chosen, the title FDP on research paper writing, and it is absolutely apt. I think I could share, I'll be able to share with you few of the nuances, few of the finer points associated with journal writing, journal publications, and how is that some few people are able to publish the journals, and instead we are unable to either publish, or whenever we submit the papers, they get rejected and come back to us. So let us try to understand some finer gaps. No doubt we are all good in our own areas, in your own domains. You have been doing good. I do understand. I do accept. However, there are some fine points where we need to look into, so that we can get our journals submitted, get them reviewed positively, and then get the papers published. By the time you complete your research, you will have a minimum of 3 quality publications, apart from few conference publications. Okay, so to start with, you can have some 1 or 2 or 3 conference publications, and in later you can switch over to journal publications. Okay, with this background, let us get going with my today's talk, technical writing skill sets for journal publication. I hope my audio is clear and my speed is acceptable to you all. A quick feedback from madam. Is it okay, madam? The thing is going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything is fine.
That's good. Thanks a lot, madam. And
Yes.
Once again, thanking you all for inviting me. Let me start with my presentation today. Myself, Dr. M.M. Nadkatti, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Gupta Institute of Technology, Belgavi. Just a second. 1 second, please.
Sir, unmute your mic, sir.
Yeah. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. My presentation, as I was saying, sorry for the interruption, is spread over 3 sessions in the following way. I'll be dealing with the objectives of this 3-session FDP that is being delivered now. One is introduction to the main topic, technical writing skill sets for journal publication. Then let me focus on key discussions on technical writing for journal publications. Then I'll go on with the technical writing, some of the key points. Later on, I'll be showing a flowchart of writing the journal articles, then technical writing process, then referencing styles, and then I'll conclude my 3 sessions with whatever the learning outcomes that we have had. Then I will show you the references, and we can have some question answer session if there is some need or somebody is interested in asking some few questions, so that can be taken up at the end. That won't be any issue at all. We have sufficient time on that count. Thank you. Objectives of this course: identify. See, again, every time that you start, now if I suddenly ask you, some of you who have not published the articles, you may ask, do you have any idea what journal are you, what is the type of publication that you want to do? Which kind of article are you writing? Which journal are you focusing upon? Or where you intend to publish? Is it for a conference or is it for a journal? Do you have any idea about what is impact factor? Do you have idea about the quartile value of your journal? Then what is the main objective of your writing a journal article? Next, whether it is a technical article or is it a review article, what you are planning to do? So probably if I ask you series of questions, then most of you may not be able to answer me in a systematic way. This is the question, this is the answer. Primarily because we have never thought on these lines. Yes, PhD requires or research requires publication to be done. We need to do. Yes, I will do the publication. This much I know. Which journal? Again, I cut a sorry figure. I don't know which journal I need to focus upon. So my area being, I'm into condition monitoring. I am into vibrations. I am into kind of knowledge-based systems. I am into AI ML. These are some of the areas. I am into railway research. Now, I need to identify the journals, some of those journals which are in these areas wherein I can submit. I need to understand. So these are the questions that we need to address when we start writing a journal. At the outset, right on the day one, today someone has joined a PhD course. He wants to write a paper. Is it possible or not? Most of you may say, sir, it is not possible. We have not done anything. How can I write a paper? That's where you need to start. You have not written a paper. You have not started the work. Start the work. Start writing a paper. Now question is, sir, on what topic should I write? What is the topic that I need to set? Those are the points that I will be discussing in our forthcoming sessions. Yeah, please go ahead. Identifying the journal to which the article should be submitted. First part, objective of the course or the publication would be identify the journal which article should be submitted, to understand the structure of technical journal writing so that papers get good review comments and final acceptance for publication. Please understand that. Just a minute. I think I'm waiting. Yeah. Please understand that. Most of you people, most of the researchers, most of the faculty, they do have some idea. They are working on some complex problem. They know that they have done some research work. They have done some literary review. But really what they lack is this part, structure of technical writing journal. Most of the people, I think I have quoted somewhere in the next slide. The moment you submit a paper, please believe me, statistics says 80% of the papers submitted to journals. I repeat, 80% of the journals, articles submitted to journals get straight away rejected within 1 or 2 days, without much of a review, without much of any analysis. Straight away the editor says, sorry gentlemen, sorry sir, we will not be able to accept your paper and it has been rejected. That's really very sad part of it. And so you are no exception, I am no exception. Very next day also it will get rejected. That possibility is 80%. So don't get disheartened because your paper got rejected, or it was asked to resubmit, or a major revision, or you submitted once, again rejected, second, it got rejected, third, it got rejected. Please understand the rejection rate in journal publication, especially when you are targeting high-end journals, is 80% and more. Okay. So to understand the structure of technical writing so that papers get good review comments and final acceptance. So what goes behind writing those papers is the question now. I'm not saying that your quality of work is weak. I'm not saying that you don't have content, but why it is then the paper is getting rejected? This is exactly where we need to understand what is the view. I'm an editor. I'm also a reviewer for some of the international journals. I'm a reviewer for International Journal of Automation, Robotics. So, and IJSOM, International Journal of Systems Operations and Management, published by Springer from LTU. Then a couple of more journals. I'm also an editor. So I'm also the reviewer for some of these journals. So what we look at as a review of these international journals, what are the points that we look into, or what are the points we take care to see that our papers do not end up with the same situation as getting rejected. So those things we'll be understanding in today's session as much as possible to understand. To convey complex information to readers in simple and understandable way. Many people have a thinking that using high-end English, using high-end technical explanations, lengthy sentences, make a presentation much better, make the article acceptable, which is really not true. Not true. An editor would appreciate complex information readers submitted or presented in a simple and understandable way. That is more important. Your concept, your idea may be complex, no doubt. You have got equations, you have got graphs, you have got analysis done, you have got simulations done. You have done a lot of work in last 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, including with your supervisor. A lot of iterations have happened. You have come out with some inferences, agreed. With due respect to that, the question arises, how best are you able to convey your idea, your hypothesis, your research outcomes to a general audience who may not be from your field, who may not have your expertise to understand those concepts, That makes the cut, that makes the difference, whether the paper gets accepted, whether it gets, with a suggestion that minor modification, whether it goes for major modification, or whether it is outrightly rejected, or the best part is it gets accepted in the first attempt itself. And that chance is very, very remote. Getting accepted in the first attempt, 99% is remote. Only 1% or even less than that may get accepted in the first submission. Otherwise, believe me, No matter how good the researcher is, the reviewers will, those journals will definitely be having much more experience, expertise, and they will send it back with either the minor or the major corrections. Okay. So let us not worry much about it. That's a part of our journey. You start your journey right well in the beginning, so that by the end of 3.5 or 4 or max of 5 years, you will have already published 3 or 4 papers under your belt. Got it? So this is the idea, to start right from day one with respect, or even you before registration of your PhD, then also you can start working. Nobody has stopped you from publishing a review article. Okay. Compilation of precise, relevant information without any redundancy. Entire manuscript should be cutthroat, should be clear in its ideas, should be clear in its paragraphs, section to section. There should not be any redundancy. What you have quoted in the first paragraph gets repeated in the 3rd page, gets repeated again in the 4th page in a different way, and finally comes back in the conclusions. So that is certainly not acceptable. We need to avoid redundancy. People or editors or journal editors, publishers may not appreciate redundancy, repetition of the same idea at many places across the article. Next, mapping of, very important, point number 5, mapping objectives of research study with objectives of paper at the beginning and outcomes at the end of the paper. See, we have some objectives for the research outcome. So we write down what I want to achieve by this publication for this paper. If it's a review paper, I want to have a comprehensive review of all the publications that have been done in the last 10, 15, 20 years, with more focus on the recent last 2 to 3 years, moderate focus on last prior to 3 years, about 5 years, 7 years, and limited focus to last 10 years prior to that. So nearly we have, see, you're all, I must appreciate you people. I must, I envy you people having access to the journals, access to the articles. We had to travel all the way. We were not getting the period of 2001 to 2007-8. Internet had not progressed much. One. Next, we were not having access to journal articles. We traveled all the way from this remote area. Belgaum is in this northern corner of Karnataka. Travel all the way to Bangalore, and I have traveled to Chennai, IIT, Madras IIT, to get access to the articles, journals, and see, go for reviews, go for review writing, then go for accessing the journals, so that I can write those references. You need to have a good number of references in your paper. When you don't have access to article, how can you have reference? Isn't it? So you must be lucky on those lines, because most of you have got access to online journals, or otherwise you can have access from your neighboring colleges or nearby cities. You can get access and get the journals, so that those could be referred. Okay, so mapping objectives of your research study with the objective of paper. I want to write a review paper. This is my first objective. So for that prior, I need to have done the review work. So that is first. So these are the reviews of what has been done. These are some of the points which have been highlighted by the scholars. These are some of the areas that have been highlighted by the scholars, or the studies that have been done in a particular, say, composites, say in AI, say in neural networks, say in expert system, say in machine learning, whatever be the field, I don't know. The group may consist of researchers from various backgrounds. Me being coming from mechanical engineering, I may tend to take up some of the mechanical engineering core issues. Nevertheless, I try to focus on all the areas available, all the gamut of research areas. Try to compile or give you the examples. Okay, so now mapping the objectives of research study with the objective of paper. Objective of paper is a review paper, first thing, or it's an experimental paper, or it's an analysis paper, or it's a modeling paper, or it's a cutthroat complete analysis and solution based. So this is my objective of the paper. Prior to that, I need to have done those works. If it is a review work, I have done, these are the reviews, these are the points that I have noted down. Let me start writing the paper and let me submit it to a publisher or a journal which is relevant to my area. I am looking into condition monitoring. I am looking into high-speed railways. I am looking into AI. I am looking into machine learning. I am looking into robotics. I am looking into AGVS. Some, or in case of your CS or EC or electronics, whichever the fields that you are looking into, identify those journals, 5 to 6 journals, discuss with your supervisors, find out the objectives of those journals. See, your article is good, you've done good job, you reviewed very well, your publication, everything has gone in well, you're meticulously planned, but you end up sending it to a wrong journal. Immediately they say, the editor, sorry gentlemen, we are not able to publish this in our article because in our journal because it is beyond the scope of our journal. So you should know the scope of the journal before you publish. So we were not knowing, at least I was not knowing when I started about Q1. I never bothered about what Q1 or Q2, Q3, Q4 papers. Never bothered about impact factor. Somebody told us that time. Now you have got online resources, you have got all the talks, all the discussions, experts speaking to you, discussions happening, and access to journals you have. You have got all data available to you to take up a publication on a serious note, right? So next, mapping this at the beginning and outcome at the end of the paper. You have your theory, your introduction, your objectives. You have all these things right in the beginning of your paper. Next, you go through all the iterations, multiple pages, 3 or 4, then experimentation, then analysis, modeling, then correlations, graphs, analysis. Then finally, you say research outcomes. Last section, outcomes. Your research outcomes should map with the objectives. You have 4 or 5 objectives of the paper. Normally, any research will lead it to 3 objectives. People have a wrong conception that, please correct me if I'm wrong, that having multiple objectives will give the audience or give a better idea about my research, and I will impress upon the examination panel or the research panel or our target audience or the editor. Sorry, most of the journals, most of the research have broadly 3, at the max 4 objectives, not more than that. All remaining objectives are sub-objectives of these 3. With a good PhD, I repeat, with a good PhD, a gentleman or a lady can publish about 2 to 3 quality publications. 2 to 3 independent, high-quality publications are possible using 3 PhD works. Okay? So, with this, your 3 objectives of the paper should be finally outlined in the conclusion section, saying, we started with this was the objective, and in line with the objective number 1, this is my outcome. Okay. In line with our objective number 2, this is the outcome. And third one, this. Even while you write your PhD thesis, please understand, PhD thesis can be relatively, it becomes relatively easier when you divide your 3 outcomes with 3 publications. Straight away, your likelihood of your research getting accepted by international panel is higher. When you equate your objective number 1 of the research with first publication, let it be a review paper. To start with review paper, you can always start. First objective, review paper. Second objective, experimental work, experimental outcomes, review paper. Third would be third one or the second one. Second and third could be interchanged. Modulation or development of a model and a paper associated with that. So you have 3 papers now, 3 journal papers which already have been published. 2 have been already published. By the time you go for your PhD thesis submission, your third paper is on the verge of getting submitted. You can always say it has been submitted. Okay. And if it gets accepted, well and good. Otherwise, at least you have 2 backup ready. Third one is in the pipeline, which is about to get submitted. Okay. So you don't have to regret, or there won't be any time delay for submission of your thesis. By the time thesis gets evaluated, already you have 3 publications, automatically it gets accepted, and likelihood of thesis getting completed and doctorate, PhD work getting awarded is more. Next, I said 80% of the papers get rejected. What's the time? Can I speak for 5 minutes, madam? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can, sir. You can.
Yeah, because I need to break this into 3 sessions. So I started off at 10:40 or so, 20, another 10 minutes. We will wind up first session. Yeah. So common mistakes committed. So I said 80% of our papers get rejected. Why they get rejected, we need to understand first, so that we will not repeat those mistakes. Okay. common mistakes committed while compiling the draft copy of the paper, especially for non-native English speaker researchers like us. We are non-native English researchers. So the way in which a native English researcher or the native editor, European or American journal publisher or editor, the way in which he looks at your article is vastly different than our communication language that we use. So we are very much influenced by our local language, whichever the language be. We're South Indians or North Indians or East or West. So we have varied kind of languages and they have their own influence on presenting our ideas in English. So common mistakes committed while compiling the draft copy of the paper, especially for non-native English research scholars. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. So if at all it gets accepted or rejected right at the outlet, when the moment you send the paper, the abstract itself is good enough. Abstract itself is good enough. Whether it can be taken to the next level, that is review, or it has to be rejected outright here. That depends on this part. Common mistakes, let us understand, and then the English language. Then how to go for citations, citation practices. Let us understand. So these are our some of the points that I'm going to discuss in today's FDP. I said already, so let me not repeat. General statistics in a majority of highly reputed and modern journals, the rejection rate is as high as 80%. Question is why? And answer I have given you, please refer to this. You can get a detailed answer I have already given, and I have requested the organizing team to circulate my PPT for you all. A PDF file of my PPT is available. It will be shared once the FDP gets over. So in case you have any questions, they can always be asked upon or discussed upon later. Okay. So I have given the link also. Why this? There is a likelihood of, even you must have tried, your papers must have been rejected or they're likely to get rejected. My papers have been rejected. Okay. So it is nothing new because 80% or plus will get rejected anyway. What is technical writing? Technical writing is performed by a technical writer or a technical author, in our case, engineers, scholars, and is the process of writing and sharing technical information in a professional setting as mentioned by Wikipedia. Technical writing is a piece of writing which focuses on factual and straightforward content, and technical papers are published, inform and instruct, educate the user about some specific topic, one particular topic on which you want to inform, you want to educate, you want to give your information or your perspective through that article. Yeah. What are the key points when you want to publish an article? Before that, let me show you one of the articles that is published. Just a minute. I hope this is visible to you. Screen is visible. Construction and building materials. Great, great.
Yes, sir.
So, a brief background. This got, and I'm happy to share with you the latest paper which got published yesterday or day before. So before I could even send this information to you all, when I had planned about this FDP, day before yesterday, I got this. As you can see, this journal getting published. This is date. If you observe, it is somewhere here. It must be. Never mind. It is. I can show you later. So it is at the end. Go for this. Let us analyze what a journal is. First thing is construction and building materials. Yes, it's a very good high quality impact factor Q1 journal. It's a 7.4 impact factor journal. Look at the title. Okay, it's an Elsevier, a renowned publisher. Influence of operation times, manual device on a ballast bed state. Clear cut, concise, one-line statement which informs the reader or those who research, those who type the keywords, what the focus is on. Clear cut abstract, clear cut line, clear cut title. Okay. Have a look. Technical writing skill points, technical writing style, skill to write the technical papers, steps involved in writing the technical papers, factors to be considered before writing a journal paper. What are the various factors that we need to consider? One is, please understand, technical writing is simplicity. What is being looked into a journal publication is not your hi-fi English, complex equations. Yes, They are necessary, agreed. But how simple you are in your presentation makes a difference. Accuracy, only present the facts. Don't present fiction or fictional things here. Whatever you have understood, whatever you have experimented, whatever your outcomes, whether right, wrong, plus, minus, increased, decreased, don't worry. Only present the facts. They are experts. They are also going to counter challenge your claims later on, and that will be verified. So somewhere you say your efficiency is increased. By doing so, this has been achieved. You have to collaborate. You have to give the evidence for that. Straight away, you cannot claim I have increased the efficiency, I have increased the accuracy, I have increased the thickness, whatever ups and downs, what you're going to claim in your paper. That has to be verified. That has to be corroborated with facts, figures, and photographs. Okay, accuracy. Next, it should be audience focused. Who are my target audience? Who are the papers who are writing and who are reading this journal? Say it's a journal on AI/ML. You cannot expect a high-speed railway person to read a AI/ML journal. A mechanical engineering person will not be interested in something in data structures journal, something getting published in data structures. Same way, data structures journal will not be interested in something connected with mechanical engineering unless it's an interdepartmental or the areas are clashing with mechanical. And nowadays we have interdepartmental or inter-area research, multidisciplinary, I must say. We have multidisciplinary research going on. In that case, you are accepted. But if it is purely mechanical, purely civil, purely electrical, electronics, it is better that you submit those papers to those journals only. So it is audience focused. A civil engineer may not be interested much in mechanical journals. Mechanical person may not be interested in CS journals. Okay, unless it is a interdisciplinary journal. Objective, fact, and task-based approach. Clear cut. Objective. What is the objectives? Clear objectives. What's the fact? What is your outcome? What you have studied? What's the fact? What has been published? What can be verified? And a task-based approach. Excellent writing skills required for writing a technical skills are excellent writing skills, preferably English language skills, then technical words and full form of the people have the nowadays because of the concept of Facebooks, WhatsApps, and social media. Our research scholars, we find it you must have observed in your student answers papers, they are all using so many short forms. We are forced to understand what the short form mean and then give the marks. You must have been challenged by your student. Sir, I have written the answer, I use this short form. You will not be knowing in the first place, thanks to the WhatsApps, thanks to the Facebook or Instagrams, our language skills have been taken for a toss where we have been forced or we have been accustomed to using short forms. Journal publication is not that simple. We need to give the full forms. Once you write the full form of any specific technical word, then only you are allowed to use the short forms, not otherwise. So, like we have been using ASME, IEEE, 3D, FBD. What does FBD mean? So, unless you mention somewhere in the beginning, then if you use FBD, it's accepted. Otherwise, you start using FBD right in your abstract or right in your title, and then finally end up with FBD not being defined at all. Then definitely such cases are a matter of concern. Then proofreading, editing skills, grammar, spell checks. Please go ahead. One needs to have a proper editing skill set and proofreading. Steps involved in writing technical papers. Understand the target audience. Tabulate the contents of the paper or article. Search suitable journals for the article based on the scope of the journal, impact factor, and indexing. Where all it is getting indexed. Please don't go or don't fall prey for these online publication platforms where you pay some money and the journal article, no matter what rubbish it is, it gets published by payment of some 3, 4, or 5,000 rupees and they give you certificate. Please understand, a good journal will never ever give you any certificate. No chance. The publication itself is a certificate. That you have published in some quality, high quality journal. That itself is certificate. You don't need a certificate to show that you have published a paper. No journal will do that unless it's a paid journal where you pay the money and then get it published. Please don't go for that. It's of no use. And they don't carry any academic relevance whatsoever. Next, proofreading, editing skills. Next, discuss and finalize the main author, co-authors, corresponding authors. Develop the rough draft of the paper. Review and revise the paper at least 3 times. You think that by revising only once, the paper is over. Not really. First, draft compilation. Next, first review. Next, second. third review by your co-authors, maybe outsider, third person, fourth person. See that within your confidence group, maybe you're 4 or 5 in your group. So all of you, please go through this and at least revise it by 3 to 4 times. Understanding factors to be considered, I said already, tabulate, search. Okay. Next, this is what I have made here, a small block diagram. Factors to be considered before writing a journal. One is obviously the target audience. Next, what goes into your paper? What is the content? What are the contents? What are the subtopics? Topic number 1, of course, abstract, of course, introduction. Then, of course, whether it is a review paper, whether it is a experimental paper, whether it is a modeling paper, whether it is an analysis paper, whether it is a chemical paper, chemical engineering or chemistry paper, physics. Depending on that, the content has to be filled in, or mathematics for that matter. The content has to go in a logical way, sequential way, one after the other, each section getting connected with the next section. And the flow should be from the title to the abstract, to the introduction, to the body of the paper, to the results and conclusions, and finally the inferences or the reference. Next, references, of course, equally important is the acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge the help supported by some of the industries, help supported from research organizations, help supported from funding agencies if you have taken any funding. That also plays a vital role in your publication or in your article. I'll come to that in the session number 2. Then suitable journal, then of course proofreading. Okay, this brings me to the end of first session. Okay, either we can break here for 5 minutes, or if you have any questions now, if you wish, as per the organizing team, I leave it to them. If they want to have some questions and answer sessions now, I can have, or at the end I can have. Let us break for 5 minutes if it's okay. Thank you for patient listening.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask your queries.
Or we can keep it at the end also. We can break for 5 minutes now. It is 11:15, 11 or 14. We can break for 5 minutes. Either ways, I leave it to you. Yeah, Prashant Swami, he has raised his hand. Go ahead, sir. Please go ahead with your question. Unmute your mic. Prashant.
Sir, you can ask your doubt, sir. Swami, sir.
Yeah, very good morning, sir.
Audio is very weak, Professor. Can you just enhance your audio, please? It's not clearly audible.
Yeah, very good morning, sir. I'm audible now?
To some extent. Yeah, please tell me. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Actually, I want to ask a question. Now I'm a PhD scholar, sir.
Great. Good to know. Yes, sir, please.
Recently, I went for 2 papers.
Okay.
My both papers were selected, one in the Scoopus and one in the Springer.
Great. Good to know.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
One in the IIT, I even did my oral presentation also, IIT Bhubaneswar recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to know a few things regarding as you said, the views. The views are given by the that team. The team is there.
Yeah.
So
review team. Yeah.
Review. So to what extent that review is considerable, and again making those consideration, we are also called for the oral presentation. So that is what my question.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
If you can allow me to complete my second and third session, probably your question will be answered.
Okay, fine.
I'll take this question again. Yeah, this part is pending in my second and third. So probably if it is not answered, then I'll revert back to your question and I will specifically address that. Will that be okay, sir?
Fine, sir. No problem. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Because I'm going to, that's an integral part of this session that everyone must know. What that goes behind the scene, or what is being considered by the reviewers, right? We will look into that. Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question from Sumit Mane sir on chat box, sir. Can you open the chat box?
Just a minute. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second. I can see. What is the difference between article, communication, and review is the question. Can you repeat the impact factor, feedback link? Oh, that's a different one. Okay. What is, can I answer this question? What is the difference between article, communication, and review? I'll go ahead with this question. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Great. Article we are referring to here specifically technical articles. There are different types of articles. You have got newspaper articles, you have got magazine articles, you have got we are focused mainly on journal writings, the technical journals. So when I say article, we are definitely referring to engineering journals, engineering articles. One. Communication is the one here. It is with respect to the communication that we are having with the editor. One, the emails that we send and receive from the editor. Second, communication, we refer to our journal paper publication, the way in which we have compiled our paper, that language, that we form as a communication. That's the process, the style. There are different styles. American English is different, UK English, Indian English is slightly different from these two. So the style of language varies from area to, or continent to continent. So native English speakers, native when I say is, those are those who are born and brought up in or with those who speak English as their mother tongue, US or European, not all European, only UK. And then Australia, you can say native English speakers. And we are all native English speakers. We are all native language speakers. So our language is very much influenced, our English, the way in which we speak English is very much influenced by our mother tongues, local languages, be it Hindi, English, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, or Tamil, whatever, all those languages have their influence on the way in which we speak. Next, review. Review is done by the reviewer. So what he looks into the review is what he looks into your article. There are many aspects that a reviewer looks, many aspects. Broadly, those two aspects can be classified as one as technical aspects, another is language aspects. Both are equally important. Language and technicality, both are equally important. One is of course, the language and technical aspects are important, no doubt. Unless having a proper technical article, it cannot be accepted. Equally important is language, English or any vernacular language that is being published. Normally, we are speaking here with respect to English language. Okay, so a reviewer looks into these two. Your language is good. The research article or the main theme of the paper is not good. Paper gets rejected. Your main experimental work, your review, your outcomes, they are all very good, no doubt about it, but your language is not equally competent. Paper gets again rejected. Only when both are good, then the paper reaches the next level. It is not publication, no, not at all. It reaches the level of getting accepted for review. Getting accepted for review is not a ticket for publication. It is considered for review rather than straight away dumping back to you saying that it is rejected altogether. No. Then the series of process. So this processes continue, review process. They will send you the review comments. I will discuss about review comments in my second session also, third session also. I think I made my point. I have cleared your doubts here with respect to difference between article, communication, and review.
Sir, again, one more question from Vishaka Jadhav.
Please go ahead. Please.
Can you repeat the impact factor? Her question is, can you repeat the impact factor? Yeah.
Please understand. See, any journal, the impact factor is the one which determines the quality of publication. Quality. The publications can be done in varied journals. The impact factor is generated. Impact factor is based on the quality of articles that goes into that journal, number of years that journal is in existence, number of contributions made by the researchers, number of accesses the researchers across the globe have accessed your article or that journal. That matters. That every year it gets updated. Impact factor gets updated year by year. So when I say impact factor of construction and building materials is 7.4, next question is when was it published? Please understand, impact factor of 7.4 was published 2022. 2023 is expected anytime. So the impact factors are based on last 1 year. What is the number of papers that have arrived? How many of them got rejected? How they base their impact factor is how many papers were received, how many of them were rejected, how many of them accepted, finally, how many of them are being used by other researchers across the globe. How do you find that? That is through citation. your paper getting accessed by someone else once, some other person second, third. So that indicates the importance of your article and that journal. See, he may access this similar article from some other journal. So you want to publish an article in a high impact factor journal. Question is, how impact factor? How are you going to decide? Go to the journal website. Ask for journal, list the journals which are in your relevant area, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. There are a good number of journals. Either you have got ASME journals, you have got Springer journals, you have got many more, Taylor and Francis journals. You go to their home pages, search the journals. On the journal homepage, impact factor is clearly mentioned by the publisher. It is very clear. And also there are good number of websites where you can get what is the current impact factor of any particular journal. It's available. And also the quartile value. Q1 is always treated, getting publication in Q1 is very, very difficult. Q1 journals are considered to be the top class journals. Any journal, please understand, we were not knowing, at least I was not knowing when I started all my focus was to see that my name appears in one journal. Because I had a limited vision that time. My focus was not there. I was not getting access. I was not having information. Now I'm happy to share with you all. You have these wonderful platforms. You have the access to the net. You have the access to the journals. You have the access to the home pages of those journals. And there are recently published articles. Go through them. Identify what is your potential. What is your capability. Straight away going for a Q1 journal with an impact factor of 4 or 5 and straight away getting affected or a journal getting rejected will not serve the purpose. We need to start our journey from smaller impact factors, say 0.5, 1, 1.5 or maybe 0.6, 0.7. There are many good number of journals are in the range of between 0.1 to 0.9. It doesn't matter much. So in the initial phases, let us focus on getting a journal published. But once you gain the confidence of publishing, in order to gain that confidence, you publish some articles in conferences, 1 or 2 papers, 3 or 4 conferences, international conferences, national conferences, refine them, 2 or 3 international conferences, club them together and submit it to a journal. Okay, that gets published. Go for the review comments, then go for the next hire. Once you get 1 or 2 publication done, then think about higher quartile value, then think about higher impact factor journals. Impact factor journals, if you have publication in the range of 3 or 4, it will be a fantastic accolade to have in your PhD resume, no doubt about it. Go ahead with those impact factors. And if you want to know more about impact factors, there are good websites available. How Google itself has got it's a detailed procedure how impact factor is arrived at for any particular journal. Let us not worry how the impact factor is arrived. Let us worry what is a journal and what is its impact factor. If it is more than 1, more than 2, more than 3, more than 4. Each institute also has got its publication policies where if you publish in impact factor having more than 2, more than 3, the points that you're going in will be getting in your NAC or NBA or other accreditation bodies will be higher. So try to reach to the higher levels. So even there are incentives being provided for publishing in high quality journals. High quality. What do you mean high quality? Either it is Q1 or it is a higher impact factor. These two, if you go hand in hand, definitely it can be considered as a top class journal. Top class journal. Yes, please. You are welcome, Vishal.
You can take a short break now.
Yeah.
We'll continue after a few
now
minutes.
It's 11:25. Let us resume by 11:30 sharp.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is that
okay,
okay?
sir.
Or you want more? I leave it to you, sir, madam.
Okay, sir. Okay, no problem.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, the feedback link will be shared at end of the session. Please wait until the end.
Can we start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can, sir.
Thank you. So I welcome you all for the second session, today's FDP on research paper writing by the rights. The topic being obviously the technical writing. Just a moment. Yeah. Technical writing skill sets for journal publications. Right. So now, going ahead with our session. So the next slide or the next part of my presentation is regarding good technical writing style. Topic is good technical writing style. What is being considered as a good technical writing? So that the possibility of paper getting published is enhanced, is more, or at least it will go for a comment saying minor revision. In the next, not an acceptable situation is major revision. Okay. So what is that good technical writing style? One thing is, there are 4 points that I want to make. Good technical writing style varies by audience, considers a reader, and builds a goodwill. You need to consider who is the reader. First thing, a good technical writing skill set varies by the audience. If the audience is a top class audience, if they are native English speakers, if you are catering to international audience, then the writing language is different. If you are catering to the local people or in the local community, then the writing skill, and who are the target audience, what is their level of skill sets, that also depends. If you write a high-end technical paper with all the complex equations and references and inferences and cater to a UG or undergraduate student, probably he will not be able to understand anything out of it. So it serves no purpose at all. So the varies by the audience, consider the reader and build a goodwill. Next, maintains consistency and good flow of ideas. A very important aspect of any good journal article is maintains consistency and good flow of ideas. Title, related to title is your abstract. Abstract in a neat about 400-500 words gives the overall very concisely, very aptly what went into your research, what is the hypothesis, what are the inferences, in a nutshell, what the scientific community is going to gain out of your paper. In a nutshell. And these things have to go hand in hand, one after the other. Section 1, abstract. Section 2, introduction. Section 3, the main body. Section 4, results, conclusions. Section 5, references. Section 6, prior to the references, acknowledgements. Then funding agencies, thanksgiving, and then references, and then any additional material that you would like to give in the form of additional material or in the form of brochures that you would like to supply or appendix. So that comes last. So maintain consistency and good flow. I have mentioned in double quotes, good flow of thoughts. See, you start from a point number 1, jump to point number 4, again come back to point number 3. Such kind of moving from section to section in a haphazard way is not acceptable in a high quality journal publication. We need to maintain that consistency of flow. Next section should be having a link for the previous one should have the link to the next previous one, and then the next one. This is like a ladder. You know, you cannot go to the second or the third step directly without crossing the second or the third step. So don't do that, or don't jump from first to third and then come back to second. It has to be a systematic flow of thoughts, systematic flow of ideas, systematic flow of logic, first to second to third to fourth. You should take the audience along with you. There should not be any confusion on where he got this reference, where he got this equation, what was the equation that he referred earlier, and why he is doing this experiment. What is the logic behind conducting this? All these questions should be prepared and answered so that the reader will not get confused. One, the chances that the reader may come across many questions is reduced. Already you anticipated those questions and answered those. Next, attends to visual impact. You should have a good flow diagrams, good block diagrams, good photographs, high resolution photographs, if at all you are using photographs, and then sketches that if you want to add some modelings, if you want to add some graphs, outcomes, more than you want to show some GIF images, all those things should be of good quality. A lot of time has to be spent on that. And don't copy paste somebody's work unless you clearly give the reference, give the thanksgiving at the end. That has to be done. So attends to visual impact. The moment someone sees your paper, oh, this paper looks good, The block diagrams are good. The photographs are impressive. And the flow of logic is substantial, is really acceptable. So I think I can have a look into this paper. The gentleman or the team has done a good job. That should be the visual impact. See, when you read some top class magazines, you have got excellent magazines all over. Here in India, we have got good number. Go look at those publications, look at those journals, look at those magazines. They're so well organized, good photographs, good allocation, good design. All those things will have to imbibe while writing your technical article. Say, for example, let me again showcase this. Look at this paper. Look at this paper. Organizing. Look at the title. Influence of operation times on manual tamping device on a ballasted bed. No matter, you may not understand the technicality, but at least the line is complete. Statement is complete. Okay. Next, look at the authors and look at their official affiliations. A and B. A and B means that A and B refers to these affiliations where they belong to. Next, finally, if you observe, in India we have this adding good number of authors or collaborators, but we fail to recognize what their contribution is. We fail to recognize what their contribution is. One must know what is the role of each contributor. What is the way in which your supervisor has contributed to your paper? What is your contribution? What is your collaborator's contribution? If you observe at the end, look at this paper and with example, okay, look at this. Sorry, last line here, last line. It jumps off to the next page. Preview. Just a minute. It is slipping. Okay, leave it. Look at this. Writing and drawing is done by this professor, gentleman. So gentleman has done project administration, funding acquisition, and supervision, his role. Next, this gentleman, Zheng Zai, he is instrumental in conceptualization, project administration, and supervision. Myself, I was instrumental. My contribution is in with respect to software, validation, formal analysis, data curation. This gentleman or lady, I don't know, he has this contribution, software, data curation. Then this gentleman has this contribution. So all these people's contribution have gone in before these names are reflected here. So we fail to recognize the contributions done by them, and they have to contribute. Really, see, when you are publishing a paper with the help of 3 or 4 faculty, 3 or 4 researchers together, you're collaborating and writing, we should know what is the contribution done by each of these people, and you extend those in your last part, credit. It is called, there is a full form for credit, I forgot that. If possible, next 5 minutes I'll search that and get back to you. Yeah, here it is jumping off from the previous line. Yeah, can you see this line? Can you see this part here? Credit, authorship, contribution statement. What is the credit given by each of these authors? It is just not like a namesake. Somebody, only one researcher is writing and rest of the people, only the names are reflected. That may not carry much of a weightage. That happens normally, agree. That happens normally, agree. But it is better that even your other co-authors, co-researchers, supervisors play their own role in revise, so that when they play their role, when they review your paper, when they revise their manuscript, chances of paper getting accepted is higher rather than you struggling alone, the researcher or main author, the first author, struggling alone, the chance that it may get rejected is higher. When it is his supervisor, his project coordinator, his collaborator, or industry collaborator, if you have, they chip in, they read your article once, they give their suggestions, they say these are the things to be modified, you can go ahead with those. Yeah, right? So once you do that, the chances of paper getting accepted are more. Yeah. Can you see writing and drawing? That was done by previous gentlemen, these things. So credit. Then declaration of competing interest. If you have any using any patented documented work or published article without permission, please declare that they have no known competing financial interest or personal relationships whatsoever that could have appeared to influence the work reported in this paper. That has to be done.